Good morning. Brazil 2, Canada 0 in the Women's Under 20 FIFA World Cup. What does it all mean? Let's quickly talk about it here, guys. Again, we do primarily Canadian and African content because we wouldn't be Africans if we didn't. If you're wondering, where's the African content? I'm going to wait till after AFCON qualifiers to finish to kind of talk about everything, have a bit more longer spiel on that. And then, the men Canadian are playing the U.S. Today. This is when I'm recording this, so there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to put a pause on it. And if I don't have a video there, we do have the lives, which are starting every Thursday around 3 p.m. where we're going to talk about all things just football in the world, whether it's men's, women's. We'll just kind of talk about it as we go. And so, yeah, now that that's out of the way, Brazil 2, Canada 0. What did we like about this game? What are our questions? I think for starters, we've established a couple things. The first being we know who Sydney Ty's preferred 11 is, which isn't a bad thing. And it kind of works out, so now you do. And you've seen the strategies and the rotations and the tendencies is really what it comes down to, right? Noel Henning in goal, Archibald, Okiki, Marcassini, Auti in the back four, Jules, Johnston, Hernandez Gray in the middle, Allen, Rose, and Smith up top. That's her preferred 11. She's always going to go for, that makes sense. Chuku, she went Chuku at half to kind of go through. And then Watson for Smith, Breaks for Johnson, and then Allen came on for, we'll get to that as we go. Allen came on for Alan McBride. Those weren't the right subs, so we'll talk about that as we go, but let's kind of look about how this game kind of went. As of Google, possession was 53-47 for Brazil, 20 shots to 15, 7 on target versus 4 for Brazil respectively, 357 passes to 315, 76% to 68% on the accuracy, 7-6 on the fouls, 2-1 for yellow cards, Canada having 2, 1 for Brazil. No red cards, 1 offside each, and then 6 and 8 offsides. 6 and 8 corners for both. So do apologize. This was a game where I feel that Canada had ebbs and flows. Definitely at the end of that first half, they played well and they carried that over into the second half, but they just weren't able to break the deadlock. Brazil, playing as one of the better teams in this tournament, played well. That first goal, it's a back heel. I don't want to call it a desperation back heel because it's Brazil, but a back heel that just finds the place to where it is and then a goal there. And then the second goal, it's misplayed off of a clearance and then rolls into the net. It's your classic goalie's leaving as the additional attacker, but then the ball just bounces under her feet and it's done. So it's 2-0. And then Canada finds a place in third place. I think they needed a draw here, and they played well. I don't think that they played terribly. Ultimately, when we look at what kind of happened, it was just a reality of, I think that they just were unlucky. Going back and forth with one of my co-hosts, and he was like, well, they should have scored more against Fiji. Regardless of what they did against Fiji, France would have known they need to reach this number. And it's not that they stopped trying, they just weren't able to score. And if we're going to try to evaluate this in the most critical way, miss opportunities. Let's throw that out. But yeah, they've had opportunities to score, just haven't been able to be clinical, which isn't a problem. That and those awkward balls. I call them the awkward placed balls from the opposition. Whether it's a back heel out of nowhere or a ball that's chipped too shallow for the goalie to keep, but deep enough to make the defenders think that the goalie's going to get it. See the France second goal against Canada. So I'm not worried about the side. I think defensively, they are getting better. It wasn't the ideal timing, but they are definitely getting better as this is going. But again, I think Brazil is one of the better teams. And realistically, they lost this game 1-0. Yes, the clearance goal goes in, but they lost this game 1-0. It wouldn't have changed anything. Because France had beaten Fiji. They were just racking up the goals, and they knew that's what they had to do. There is no real winning one side or the other. As of recording, and this is going to be It's a very simple when you break it down. As of recording, the four third place teams are from groups A, B, C, and D because they are the four groups that have played. Oh, actually, they are the two groups that have played. A and B have played. Effectively, as long as the top four remain those four sides, they are going to play Germany or whoever wins Group C. Group D. Group D is Germany. We're all over the place here. So let's start that again. As long as the four teams stay in place, they are going to be playing Germany, who at the moment are on top of Group D. Now, is it possible? Germany plays Venezuela, Germany plays South Korea, and then Nigeria plays Venezuela in Group D. That's later today. So effectively, Germany, if we expect Germany to win, which against Venezuela, that is more than possible. They go on and the problem becomes the other groups. There's no way that the groups end where they do. It is possible that South Korea stays at 1 point, and that's where it is. But then Group E and Group F is where it gets complicated. Ghana plays New Zealand. And so, as of where it stands, if that game ends in a draw, which is their best bet, then South Korea is safe. And then in Group F, you're looking at Argentina, who are playing Costa Rica. If that game ends in a draw, at the very least, Argentina goes up to 2 points, and they make it through on Group F, which means they will then move out Group South Korea. So effectively what I'm telling Canadians out there is they're playing Spain, which I'm not rooting for it, but based off of the games, you would need wins, you would need draws and losses from these third place teams. Ghana's playing New Zealand, which is more likely, I think, based off how Ghana has played. I think they can get 3 there, which means that vaults them on top of South Korea, assuming South Korea falls to Germany. Hey, we've seen stranger things, but as it stands, if nothing changed from this point on, Canada will be playing Germany. I think the third place teams are coming, so they're playing Spain. So yeah, that's a thing going in. What will we change? Other than, I wonder what Sydney Tide does now entering this game. This side is much better built to be an offensive side. However, they aren't bad defensively, but just if you're going to play that mid-block countering style, you need to be clinical. And against Fiji, it was just ball on frame and we're going. Against Spain, they need to be clinical. Against Germany, maybe not as much. That's a lie. I think if they're going to try to play a mid type of pressuring system, they'll need to be clinical in the counter. And they've been a bit inconsistent. Yes, they had a big game. I saw people asking why didn't Chukwu start against Brazil, and my response is she was going to play a half. They scored a lot of goals against Fiji. Yes, scoring goals matters. Doesn't matter who you scored it against, but they scored those goals. It was against Fiji, and then against tougher competition. Yes, if you want to say, oh, France was a tougher team, I think France and Canada, as it shows, were effectively at the same level. I feel as if, I've always felt this, France and Canada are more similar in their women's programs than we like to, maybe than we realize. I think sometimes Canada gets the big wins. Canada has gotten more of the high-profile wins, but then France has been consistently better, but then also a little bit disappointing in the sense that when they get to these tournaments, they're just. It does make me wonder in terms of like France. They're there. I think Canada is much closer to France, like I said, than we like to sometimes give it credit. France have been better consistently, but I think Canada has the bigger profile wins against them. That's where it is. So yeah, as I said earlier, as it stands right now, basically, I think Canada minus the other teams not getting results are getting just draws and not being able to go through. Canada's probably going to be playing Spain. And I wonder what Sydney Tide does with her 11. The one thing I would look at and say, I wonder if she goes here would be the front line. How does she want to approach playing against a Spain? I think she should try to attack and play them straight up. Not to say this team can't defend, but this team is built to go and score goals, in my opinion. So go score goals. I wonder though, Nia Rose and Amanda Allen. Amanda Allen hasn't been bad, but she hasn't had her moment yet. Now maybe it happens against Spain, maybe it doesn't. But if I had to make a decision, if I had to make a swap here, I would say one of three options here. Either McBride coming in that midfield for Johnson. Johnson hasn't been bad, but just an idea. But I think Jamie Perreault for Amanda Allen, I wouldn't be opposed to. I could also see her going Shuku for Nia Rose for the first half. Or maybe starting her off, going 60, and then maybe if you're able to get a lead and such, or you're having more possession, you can kind of play the role that way. I can see those two roles coming through, but you guys let me know. More than likely, without any type of chaos, it's probably going to be Spain versus Canada in the round of 16. Let me know how you guys feel about that, and yeah, we'll stop talking right now.